Friends, good day. Let us travel together on a path of discovery. But before we start out, what brings you here? Why? Why are you choosing to come together with me, with us, when there are so many alternatives? You could go and meditate on a mountaintop. You could go to some guru and hear advice, and hear profundity, and hear depth, and satisfy some kind of need in your soul. Why? I'm asking myself this question. Let me offer an answer. The great Rabbi Shimshon Raphael Hirsch, leader of Torah Jewry in Germany 100 years ago, he gave us a definition. And he said, the difference between religion and Torah is that religion is man's view of God, and Torah is God's view of man. Again, religion is man viewing God, and Torah is how God views man. So that all the religions, everything in the world, every system of thought, of worship, of some or other form, is essentially man's view of God. The only religion, the only system that is different is Torah. Every religion started with a man or a group of people and spread. Different ways, but spread. Torah didn't start with one person, it didn't start with a group of people, it started with our entire nation standing at Sinai and receiving Hashem's view, God's view, looking down at man. Yes, it's a spiritual system. It's a system that doesn't just describe what man does, but how he uses what he does to come closer to God. But it has this major plus factor. It's God's view of man. Or one might even say God's view of man in his world. Man as he exists in the world. Let us have a look together at an interesting discussion that took place a couple of thousand years ago between Turnus Rufus. Turnus Rufus was the Procurator General of Palestine shortly after the destruction, and Rabbi Akiva, the great leader of Jewry. And they would sometimes engage in a dialogue, and they were discussing. And the mitzvah they were discussing was the mitzvah of bris milah. Baby, newborn, mitzvah to take this child and give him a circumcision. The Roman is questioning the rabbi, and the Roman says, Rabbi, what's this custom? What's this law? Who does a better job, God or man? The rabbi wasn't fazed, and the rabbi says, man improves on God's job. Yeah, but how can you say that, says the Roman? Look at the wide world. Can man possibly make a world? Can he bring the rain? Can he cause things to grow? Said Rabbi Akiva, don't talk to me about the wide world. Let's talk about the world in which man operates. And he went out of the room, and he comes back, and in one hand is corn, kernels of corn, and on the other hand, in the other hand, a beautiful piece of cake before the health people got onto the scene. And he said, which of the two is better? This is man, improvement on God's work. This is God's work. Said the Roman, if God would have wished that a baby should have a bris, then why didn't he bris him before the baby is born? Said the Rabbi, and if God would have wished that the baby's umbilical cord should be cut, why didn't he do it as the baby or before the baby is born? Why did he leave it to the midwife to cut the cord? He left things over. He left things over for man to do. Finally, said the Rabbi, mitzvahs, God's instructions and commands, were given to man for one purpose only, for the purification and refinement of his creatures, of Hashem's creatures. Mitzvahs were given for the refinement of man. That's the discussion. You'll find that in Medrash Tanchuma, Parshas Tazria. There it is. What's the discussion? What is the Roman saying, and what is the Rabbi responding? The Roman is looking at the world as a perfect, inverted commas, creation. Look at the trees, look at the flowers, look at the ecosystem, look at the human body system, look at every system. It's designed to perfection by the Creator. Who are you, says the Roman, when you get a perfect model of a very, very, very prestigious motor car to go to your garage and start tinkering and polishing and scraping? Leave it, drive it, use it, but don't interfere. It's a perfect model. And Rabbi Akiva turns around and Rabbi Akiva says, my friend, you're making a mistake. It is perfect. But you're misunderstanding the purpose and the function of this perfect world. It isn't a perfect world in which we happen to find ourselves. It is a perfect world that is designed to help those who have a meaningful existence in the world to find and achieve true meaning and true closeness to what the purpose was really designed for. In other words, to bring that perfection that is evident in the natural world more and more into the human world, but not through any magical formula, and certainly not through the work of God, of Hashem himself. So if not, then with what? With the two hands that God has given to us, and with the mind that he's given to us, and the heart that he's given to us, and the whole potential that is wide open to us. This is the way, and these are the tools to achieve that perfection that you imagine exists in the world, but is an illusion. Look at the world, said Rabbi Akiva. The world itself tells you this. Look at the world. Do beautiful cakes grow on trees? Do clothes grow on trees? No, they don't. Who makes them? Man. So God hasn't designed a perfect machine. He's designed a kit. And he gives us the kit into our hands and says, you put it together. You take that corn, grind it, mill it, make a dough out of it, make beautiful bread, cakes, baked goods. And the same holds true for everything. Take the bricks, make houses. Take the pieces, put together an airplane, a computer, whatever. Make the world into a world in which you are completing that which is missing in the world. So Rabbi Akiva is turning around and says, it's not by accident, but by design. By design, the world is a world that's incomplete. And by whose design? By Hashem's design. It's designed incomplete so that we complete it. Said Rabbi Akiva, I'm actually winning this debate because you see yourself that this is the way the world is. It's a world where everything comes to us as a gift from God in its raw state and has to be processed. That's the physical world. But the purpose of man is not to imitate what God could do equally well and better without him. We know that the human eye is superior to any state-of-the-art electronic device that has yet been designed by man. And the human brain is superior to any electronic device. Yes, we can fly to the moon and come back. And so, what? Are our lives improved as a result? Are our children the better educated as a result? Are our sensitivity to others enhanced by that? Are we just duplicating what the man in the street a couple of 100 years ago achieved by riding there on a donkey, and we get there in a super car, and we get there faster? But are we achieving any more? Are we building what really has to be built? So the Roman had to accede to Rabbi Akiva. And particularly with the mitzvah of bris, that is a mitzvah that is done with a child who does not yet have the intelligence to know. And he finds on his person already a sign that he's part of a world that has to be worked on and completed through his own effort. And he will succeed. La nitnu ha-mitzvahs, elo letzaref bohenas habrias. Mitzvahs were given for the purpose of the refinement of man. The true achievement is not in the area of technology, or the area of commerce, or the area of academics, because it begs the question, so ultimately what? As a friend of mine once remarked a number of years back, and he said, yes, they're driving there on high-powered motorbikes and getting there faster, but there is nowhere. So what? The very existence of the world in its incomplete state calls on us to work towards completing it. And this is the world in which Torah operates. How do we achieve this goal? How do we get there? Every one of us is called on by virtue of the place and time where we find ourselves to achieve. And every one of us gets out there and tries to achieve. Why did the Creator put me in this place to do this job? Could not someone else or some angel have done the job far better than I? Said my late Rabbi, Rabbi Shlomo Volby. May he be remembered to blessing in the future world. The fact that Hashem put me here and calls on me to succeed in this area means that he has two things he wants to achieve. Number one, the job that has to be done. It's my job, my family, my community, my role. That's number one. Number two, he wants me to grow with it. He wants me to be a part of the world as he sees it, not as I imagine that I see it. And he sees it as a world that is needing perfection. The natural world is already perfect. The human world, there's a lot of work to do. And we can't start out there. We can't start fixing the world out there. As one great rabbi once remarked, and he said, when I was young, I had an ambition to fix the world. And then I saw I wasn't getting anywhere. I said, well, at least fix the people amongst whom I live in this community. I saw I wasn't getting anywhere either. I said, then my family, I wasn't getting anywhere either. So in the end, I said, look, I'm going to just have to fix myself. And later on in his life, he said, I started working in that direction. And strangely, I discovered that as I started fixing myself, it began to have an effect on my family and eventually on the people amongst whom I lived, my community and city, and ultimately on the whole world. This is the way we fix the world. We start. Charity starts at home. So Hashem gave us mitzvahs. He gave us his instructions and commands. He didn't just give us sweet ways to enter into some kind of a Shangri-La, inspirational or meditative upliftment. He gave us mitzvahs to go and fix what is around us, and in ourselves, and in our families, and in our communities, and to do charity, and to keep the mitzvahs in all their ramifications. And these mitzvahs he gave to us. For which purpose? To fix his world. He could have fixed it himself, as he did the natural. Now, the focal point of the mitzvahs is dual. It is out there, and it is in here. If it's in here, then number one, we have to discover what it is Hashem wants of us. That's for sure. There's no movement in Torah without the study and learning and the beauty of Torah learning. That's number one. But equally so, we have to look to ourselves. How am I doing? Am I doing this the way Hashem wants it, or am I cutting corners? Yes, it's important to do business, but there's business and business. There's business that gives Hashem nachas. It gives him pleasure to see this is the way I want the world to run, where there is care for others, where there is honesty, where there is care for integrity of product, where there is care for what Hashem intended the world to look like. And there's business where, listen, a person might even turn around and say, I'm religious, I want to serve Hashem, but business is business. And the overtones of that is that in business, I can be a shark, and then when I come home, I'm a sweet, nice gentleman. There's no pleasure in heaven on that. Everything is recorded. Everything is noted. And Hashem can become disappointed. He says, you're trying to serve me, but you're not. You're serving yourself. And by the way, throwing me a few crumbs. No. But when it's done with forethought and afterthought, forethought to prepare, and afterthought to consider, did I do it right? And if I didn't, let me correct it. It's the same as in music. You want to be a musician, you have to rehearse. And if somebody criticizes this or other aspect of the music, and you don't argue with him, you say, right, thank you, I'll have to correct it. I want to play my best as part of an orchestra that achieves, that gives the full symphony, the full music, as it should be. Friends, the message is clear. We live in a world that is the world of God, but it's a human world. And Hashem gave us the world to run. And he expects us to understand what's missing and to complete it the way he intended it. As Rabbi Akiva told the Roman, Lo nitnu ha-mitzvos, elo letzaref bahenes habrias. Mitzvos were given for the purpose of the refinement of man. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Have a good day.